everybody, and welcome to today's edition of the Creativity Broadcast. We're here to do a little bit of channeling and just do some card readings and see what the creative muses have in store for us today, for those of us who are on our own creative quests. So I'm just going to take a moment and connect here and just see what is asking to happen. So there's a question to initiate our first reading here today, which is just to tell us who this particular reading is for. And I think that we are starting with the Sacred Destiny Oracle. Let's just see if it will just reveal to us who today's reading is for. So I'm getting this message as I'm shuffling that's like, it's okay to have fun with this. So I don't know who that's for. Maybe it's just for me. All right, let's see here. Who is this for today? So just like any reading, as I'm going through this, make sure to be checking in with your own intuition about what resonates, all right? This is never telling you what you should be doing. This is very much just to reflect and kind of bring things to the surface so that you can make your own choices around them. Okay. So, who is this for? Or maybe better said, how will you know this reading is for you today? Okay. Delight. Oh. It is kind of what I was picking up on around, like, it's okay to have fun with this. Look at this card. It's so lovely. We've got this little bird in a field of wildflowers looking up at the sky. Delight. Let's read about it. So if this part resonates with you, I think the rest of this reading is going to also be for you. So let's see. Okay, delight. Sparrows and spring grass. The sparrow gains its power from its numbers. In clusters, sparrows eat and forage, and predators are distracted and deterred, even intimidated by their numbers. Security and joy in numbers is a lesson of the sparrow. Within their community, sparrows are always busy living life fully. Many cultures align the meaning of the sparrow with joy, and in the Middle Ages, the sparrow was thought to relieve suffering, help one triumph over hardships, and bring joy. The sacred landscape wants you to know delight is expanding in your life. Clap your hands with glee, spend time with others, go to a community gathering, host a party. The joy you experience will give birth to immense creativity, and your life will blossom. Share your happiness and elation with others, and it will grow by leaps and bounds. This isn't the time to be serious or buckle down and get to work. This is hilarious. Oh my God, this is so funny. And get to work. This is the time to be spontaneous and madcap. Madcap. Do not make hard and fast commitments. Don't sign any legal documents or make pledges right now. Don't make any promises or you might not be able to keep them. Give yourself permission to have fun, lots of fun, especially in community with others. Oh my God, this is so funny. I feel like Spirit is kind of winking at me with this because I was kind of coming into this reading with this intention to receive, through this reading, to receive some messages about the future of these readings and what's next with my channel and all of this stuff. And so it's like a pretty direct answer for me in the first place. It's very funny. But the other thing is that this week, after many years of like not really thinking about it, I pulled up this album, I think 2018 release from Jump Little Children. They're a band from the Carolinas that I listened to a lot when I was growing up, and the title of that album is called Sparrow. And I was listening to it when I was out on a long sunny walk the other day, and I was finding myself like really entranced by the song Sparrow. It's the name of the album, but it's also the first track on the album. And it was just like in my head all day, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And that night, I dreamed the song. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. Please comment if you have, because it is a trippy experience. Like, I dreamed that these readings and this channel and my music were kind of like all of it together. Like, the products of my creativity were a sparrow flying through all these different vistas that I see when I listen to that song. Like, I was like dreaming it. It was really bizarre. And I woke up with the song stuck in my head, but also with this very clear message that was like, please do this, please fly free, please go have fun. And so um, I'm just like amazed. I'm just amazed by this for me, but I'm also amazed by just like what I think is probably going to be more of a community feeling and conversation than I think. The other thing I want to share with you all is this just jumped out as I was putting this deck back together, this card Opportunity, which came up in another reading from this week, actually. And I'm just going to go back to it because it just feels, there's definitely a reason why it just came up now. Opportunity, moon through the pine trees. Yeah. Gifts from the universe are ready to cascade into your life. Stay open and receptive. Physical and emotional gifts will come into your life. Instead of bemoaning the fact that there isn't a steady and constant stream of joy and gifts from the universe, accept whatever you receive in a spirit of gratitude, and your bounty will increase tenfold. This is universal law. Yeah. What a wonderful reinforcement of that message about delight and just being delighted. It also feels important that with the presence of the sparrow in the reading that we got about it, they also mentioned that one of the ways that sparrows can survive is because they occur in packs and it freaks out predators. And so I know there's like a lot happening in the world and in the US, and it's a really hard feeling time for a lot of very important reasons. And I think that, especially this being the beginning of Pride Month, this is just a really wonderful call forward to band together and bring our joy and support each other. Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. Thank you, Sacred Destiny. So if that resonated, the rest of this reading will definitely be for you. We're going to do a little bit more clarification here. And I'm going to use this deck here, Oracle of the Roses. Bay gave me this for Christmas a few years ago. And again, with the sort of early summer vibes, this feels appropriate. All right, just going to shuffle. Let's see. So for this drawing, I'm going to ask, what is the next course of, I don't want to say action, but like, how should we be approaching life, projects, ourselves from this place of delight and opportunity? What's the next step? How should we approach? All right, Oracle of the Roses. As I'm doing this, I'm literally hearing the song from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. All the roses, those rosy roses, all the roses of success. So I think that this reading overall is like very positive and has like kind of a fun little fun little sass to it. Okay, let's see what the actual instruction is. I have a feeling it's going to dovetail with this kind of more upbeat feeling we have today. Okay, it's giving me 2. Oh, shoot, that's 3? Okay, hang on a second. All right, we've got the 2. Okay. So we've got 2 roses here. This first one, the wild rose, it's named the Democrat, the Carolina rose. It's a totally different word than California. Totally different. All right. And then we've got the mother, the old blush rose. It was interesting that they came together, and this whole time that I was doing this, I was asking for 1, and it was like, no, you need more than that. Okay, so let's start with the mother, number 17. Another little wink to me specifically. 17. 1 plus 7, 8. It's my magic number. Okay, let's see. The mother, the old blush rose. You're being asked to deepen your faith and beliefs, to look back at where you came from and strengthen connections with the place you began, to mend what needs mending, and even to create new connections. No past can be truly left behind. I'm sorry, I was just rereading that sentence to make sure that I was like, why can't I read this sentence? Part of it is because I'm taking in the message and I feel a little bit like slapped in the face. But grammatically it says no past can truly be completely left behind, which is a weird way to say that, but I get it. Take some additional self-care and self-love opportunities. Something remains and it must be healed or absorbed in some way. The mother nurtures without condition and loves without question. They know that no one is beyond the healing strength that comes from being earthly or divinely mothered. Describe what unconditional love means to you. Plant energies, meanings and uses, compassion, love, persistence, patience, and strength. Deities, it's related to Gaia, Isis, and Terra Mater, astrological sign Cancer. Yes, this is a very loving energy. I'm feeling so much resistance to it as it's showing up because I feel like I've spent the last few years in a self-mothering and I'm like, didn't I do enough? It's just the most ironic response ever to like, would you like some more love and compassion? Would you like some more? Yeah. So let's check out this other one, the Wild Rose. It's the first one in the entire deck. It's called the Democrat, the Carolina Rose. Did you all know I'm from North Carolina? I don't live there right now, but I grew up there. The Democrat, Carolina Rose. I'm not going to do that for the whole reading, but I could. Many of us believe we are being fair and just, but is it simply our beliefs and our filters that make us feel somehow righteous? Seek balance and create greater focus on equality and what you are doing by silencing your inner voice and personal views for a moment. Is this really fair, and does it take into account longer-term possibilities, not only for others but also yourself? The Democrat acknowledges outside influence as relevant to them, even if they do not agree with them. I hear I hear a lot of interdependence in this. They will clear space to listen, to observe, and to understand the needs, positions, and goals of other people and institutions. It's not just about me. What and who is it that I need to make space for in my life? Meanings and uses: responsibility, fairness, balance, choice, justice. Deities: Themis, Aquitas. Astrological sign Libra. Yeah, we have that kind of like evenness, like almost like creation of balance. And like I was saying about the interdependence, I feel like this card is asking us to look at I think the reading feels a little tiny bit make-wrongy, a little bit of like, you're not the only one. But the energy of this is in line with the mother, like that very loving energy of like, you're not alone, you're not tackling things alone, you're not challenged alone. And as you're starting to think about bigger possibilities, remember that you're part of an ecosystem, and there's like no one exists in a vacuum unaffected by what's happening in their community or by what's happening in their country. You know, a little tiny fish swimming in the ocean is swimming in salt water. Like, we're all swimming in something, and that's going to have an impact on us. And so what I hear in that is almost like the relaxing of an ego conversation of like, you're not trying everything by yourself. And if we think about it in relation to the mother, this very like loving release of the past, more less of a release of the past and more of like a bless and release of like, I'll keep these two things and the rest I'm going to allow to leave. You know, I feel like this is reminding us that if we're struggling to let go, or we're struggling to forgive ourselves for maybe a chapter that we're starting to close and it's feeling really challenging, I think that this is a reminder, or maybe just like an ask from here forward, to remember that like all of the choices that you made before didn't happen just on you. Like, you were, yes, we are responsible for our actions, but there's also this sense of like, you were swimming in this ocean, so because of the salt water, you you know, like this sort of like acceptance of self of like, okay, I see why I made that choice. It was because of the salt water. Okay, like I've moved from salt water to lake water, and so now my choice profile is a little bit different. You know, like there's just a little bit of a softening of moving from one chapter to the next. Oh, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. Oracle of the Roses. Wow. So let's do one more card, and I want this one to be specifically about how is this relating to our creativity, whether it's our projects or our sense of creative flow. Okay. We're going to do Animal Spirit, Wild Unknown. Because you all know I love this one so much. Just had another little wink happen at me just now, because I don't know if you all noticed. I'm not sure what you can see as I'm doing this, but the card I saw when I opened this up was at the bottom of the deck is the hummingbird. And the hummingbird is another thing that's kind of been screaming at me lately, in the same exact energy of the sparrow, of just like, have fun, have joy, go. All right, let's see. So this is really some guidance around like, how does this reading relate to our creativity? And creativity can be not only about like a project or like some art that you're up to, whether it's like a new project or a new vision, or, you know, some of the readings lately have been about like a new sense of creativity that like relates to identity in life. But I think this can also be for like any places where you hold leadership. Like, are you self-employed? That requires a ton of creativity all the time. Trust me. Are you a parent? I'm not, but I'm sure that requires so much creativity and leadership. Okay, so let's see what the Wild Unknown has to say here. So what just happened is I was sort of between two cards, so I went a second time for like, can you please confirm which one? And what I got was, I was like just on the border of the two cards again. So this is the first one that I got, Fire Ant, but I was still kind of getting the push to pick the second card, so I'm going to share that one too. It's the Swan. Okay, So, fire ant. I'm not going to pretend to already know, but I'm kind of laughing at this. Okay. Fire ant. Aggression, rigid thinking, following orders. Fire ant energy flares up without us noticing. It's the force that attracts us to people and situations that feed our imbalances rather than those that counter them. Gossiping and blaming are a few indicators that misaligned fire ant energy is at play. You might also find yourself stewing on a person or situation, only making things worse. How can you break free from the drama and cool down? Fire ants are surprisingly sensitive. Don't pretend the heat isn't getting to you. When in balance, thoughtful and disciplined. When out of balance, argues, excess heat, and gossips. To bring into balance, solo time and walks at night. Wow, 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 fire ant. Oh my gosh. Yeah, fire ant. I think this energy is really like, um, I use this phrase sometimes that I'm not exactly sure where I picked it up, but like when something kind of gets you worked up, and you get kind of hot about it, and not in like a sexy way, hot in like a worked up, angsty, pent up energy kind of way. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately, especially as we transition into the summer months when like the temperature actually is warmer. And so it's easier to get a little bit worked up or like just sort of feel a little bit messed up. And so um, I love this question about like, how can you break free from the drama and cool down? And this could also be whether it has anything to do with other people or like stuff you're kind of getting yourself worked up around. Like, where would it actually be helpful to review some routines and think about, oh, wow, maybe the thing that I do in the springtime in the morning to kind of ground myself and get ready for the day isn't super appropriate anymore. Like, it's not actually supporting me to be present and cooler. It's kind of like creating more heat. Um, and also, I think this is a really good moment to do a little bit of review of boundaries, not necessarily when it comes to other people, but more when it comes to like this content that you're consuming. How open and receptive are you to like mean gossipy stuff? Just doing a little bit of like honesty with self around like, am I giving myself more drama than is actually helpful right now? And how much of that do I actually have control over? We just, last week's West of Wonderland podcast episode is mostly about boundaries. Um, so if you're interested in like a deep dive on boundaries, we talk about boundaries all the time on West of Wonderland podcast. And last week's is kind of in line with this actually. So enjoy. All right, let's move over to Swan. Slightly different vibe. In fact, it's an entirely different part of the animal kingdom. Let's see. You know what I like is in this deck we have Swan. I know what we have right after that. Dolphin. And if you are a Disney World person, you find that pleasing. All right, Swan. Effortless creativity, sensitive mystic, elegant power. The swan represents heightened creativity. In Hindu mythology, the goddess Saraswati, the embodiment of language, creativity, and artistry, rides on the back of this graceful creature. The swan is ready to take us there, to the fluid realm of writing, creating, and reflecting. This potent and healing energy is not to be taken for granted or taken lightly. When the swan card appears, your soul is calling for attention, for solo time. Again, like solo time. An inner voice is waiting to be heard, an inner vision likely to be revealed. When in balance, infinite creative power. When out of balance, agitated, snippy, lacking vision, fire ant energy, frankly. to bring into balance solo time and writing. Oh, it's lovely. Oh my gosh, imagine just like the distinction between fire ant and swan. I feel like that's what this is drawing our attention to is during this kind of vulnerable time, we can either go fire ant, or we can practice the things we need to practice to bring us back into the swan energy where we have flow and we have power and we have trust. Also, what I really love about this card, you can see the swan is gliding over her reflection. Like it's very calm water, and it's so calm that she has a clear view of her own reflection. And so I take that to also be a bit of a calling in for ourselves around like looking in the mirror and being able to see ourselves for all of our creative beauty and own it, not from any kind of performative, like, own it, but just like an understanding of yourself of like, oh yeah, that's who I really am. So maybe I feel like we were being um, given two options as like a path forward for our creativity is like we can either get really worked up about little stuff, like working ourselves up is I think the message of fire ant more than like stuff working us up. We're getting ourselves worked up versus what do we need to do to connect more with the swan and really be the swan that we all can be. Cool. I love it. All right, everyone. Hope this is helpful, and I'll see you next time.